character runs naked through a mall, shouting that he escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement. In 2005, that was just a Family Guy joke. 12 years later, it was headline news. Coincidence or something much darker? 20 years ago, would anyone have ever predicted that Bruce Jenner, an apparent model of male masculinity, an Olympic gold medal winner of the men's decathlon, would make a transition to female? Perhaps the folks at Family Guy saw this coming? In one clip from a season 7 episode entitled "We Love You, Conrad," Stewie disagrees with Brian over Bruce Jenner's gender, saying, "No, Brian, that's what the press would have you believe. But he's not a man. Bruce Jenner is a woman, an elegant, beautiful Dutch woman." The show alluded to this again in season 10's episode called Lottery Fever, when Peter calls Bruce Jenner to dance for Navy SEALs. Peter says to the crowd, clearly commenting on Jenner's feminine burlesque moves, "Just wanted to remind you fellas what you're all fighting for." Years after Family Guy foreshadowed this surprising scenario, in 2015, Jenner announced that she would be making a transition from male to female. She now goes by the name Caitlyn Jenner. During a season 4 Family Guy episode back in 2005, there is a scene in which baby Stewie is seen running naked through a shopping mall. He is terrified. He screams, "Help! I've escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement." 12 years later, actor Anthony Rapp accused Spacey of making inappropriate sexual advances toward him in 1986, when he was just 14 years old. After Rapp came forward with his allegations, several additional men also made claims against the two-time Academy Award-winning actor, including 8 people who worked with Spacey on Netflix's House of Cards. During a Family Guy episode that aired on March 17, 2013, less than 1 month before the attack actually happened, it show accidentally foreshadowed the events. Peter Griffin wins the Boston Marathon after taking out several runners with his car. Later, Peter Griffin converts to Islam, and it isn't until the next episode that Peter realizes he's joined a terrorist organization. When he calls to confirm, he accidentally triggers 2 separate bombs. It should be noted that Family Guy does take place in the New England area. However, just 1 month after the season 11 episode aired, the incident at the Boston Marathon occurred, where 2 bombs were set off, taking the lives of 3 and injuring many more. One of the men responsible reportedly ran his brother over with his car while they were fleeing the scene. Fox opted to remove the episode from Hulu and their internet site. They also stated that the episode would not air in future reruns. While not as spot-on as some of the other predictions, there's still spooky overlap between Family Guy and reality in this season 10 episode. This episode was broken into shorts including Fat Man and Robin, in which Peter is cursed by having everything and everyone he touches turn into Robin Williams. Peter becomes so crazed by the constant appearance of the comedian that he attempts to take his life many times. On August 11, 2014, news broke that Academy Award-winning actor Robin Williams had committed suicide. It may be a bit of a loose link to match the Family Guy episode up with the beloved actor's death. However, it's certainly a weird parallel to feature Williams in an episode of the series that features a suicide plotline. An even bigger coincidence is that BBC 3 was airing the episode as news broke of Williams's death. On February 11, 2006, Vice President Dick Cheney accidentally shot Harry Whittington while the friends were out hunting quail. During an episode called Meet the Quagmires, which aired the following year, Family Guy referenced Dick Cheney's hunting accident. In the episode, Death told Peter that Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia had been fatally shot by Dick Cheney in a hunting accident while out hunting quail. At first glance, this seems like a simple jab at what Cheney had already done on his trip with Whittington, but a decade later, there are some eerie similarities that make it appear as though Family Guy predicted another part of history. On February 13, 2016, Justice Scalia died at the age of 79 from natural causes. However, the prior afternoon, he was on a reserve that others used to quail hunt. So Scalia didn't pass just as the hit cartoon had suggested, but the timing of his death and his quail hunting adventure sure do make it interesting. A season 4 episode features Peter watching a British adult film on a TV in a fancy hotel room. The scene shows a very conservative version of intercourse with little to no movement, everything completely covered, and very calm, plain words being said. Another scene shows an even more conservative version of an adult film, where two adults consider having sex before deciding not to. 12 years later, in July 2017, the UK announced plans that required all pornography websites to use an age verification wall. Critics believe that the plan will fundamentally change the internet around the world. While these blocks are said to protect younger kids from the explicit nature of the web pages affected, some fear that it gives the government more license to censor the content itself or other sites. Family Guy's British adult film joke seems to obviously be poking fun at the more extreme potential of these censorship rules. In a season 12 episode, Family Guy shocked audiences when they took out one of the most prominent characters in the show, Brian Griffin. In the episode, a family dog had been struck by a car and succumbed to his injuries. Just 1 week later, actor Paul Walker was in a fatal, fiery car crash. The connection here can be a little hard to discern at first glance, but Walker's character's name in the Fast and Furious franchise was Brian. The correlation between the two is that Walker's character from the Fast and Furious series of films was named Brian O'Connor. When Brian Griffin unexpectedly passed in a tragic car accident, and so shortly after the actor who portrays Brian in the beloved franchise passes away in a very similar way, it's no wonder the connection's been made. Theory is explained in this post by YouTuber Paul Gardner, quoted in International Business Times. I don't know if you guys have also watched Family Guy, of that episode when Brian actually died of a car accident, and I don't know if you guys find the correlation and the connection there. Brian was Paul Walker's actor's name in The Fast and the Furious, and it was, I believe, like about a week and a half ago, right? About a week and a half ago is when Brian in Family Guy died, so it's like a lot of people always say, these types of things always tend to be predicted by the media and the industry. Is Family Guy just a lucky comedy, or is there someone on that team who sees the future? Comment on which prediction blew your mind, and if you still think it was all a coincidence, wait until you see what's next.